Hey everyone, and welcome back to the R Programming for Beginners series. Now, in the previous episode, we discussed what variables are and how basic operations work in R. And now that we know how variables and basic operations work, it's time to understand something even more fundamental. That is, data types, the form in which R stores and understands information. Different data behaves differently, and knowing the data type helps us work with it properly. Now, as the first topic for this video, let's discuss about what are data types. Now, every value that we use in R has a type, just like objects in real life. Numbers, words, yes or no, R stores each kind of data separately. R mainly works with three base data types for beginners, and they are, first of all, numeric data, which can include decimals as well. Next up, character data, which includes texts, words, or strings. And then finally, logical data, which are basically either true or false values. And we'll be exploring each one with examples. So, first up, let's talk about numeric values or numeric data. Numeric values represent numbers that we can calculate with, like heights, salaries, and scores in a game or a match. The examples of numeric data include numbers like 5 and minus 12, and also decimal values like 3.14 or 0.99. Most numbers in R are stored as doubles, which are decimal values, even if they look whole. So even a simple integer like 2 is conceptually stored as 2.0, and decimals like 2.2. Okay, now that we know about numeric data, let's talk about character data or strings. Character data represents texts. That includes names, messages, dates which are stored as text, and also anything inside quotes. Examples of the character data type include stuff like hello, Sam, or even R programming. All of these are character data or strings. Basically, if it's in quotes, it's a character, even if it looks like a number. So even if a number was stored inside a variable using quotes, or let's say the number was wrapped with quotes, it would be a character data or a string. Okay, so we have covered character data as well. Now let's talk about logical data. Logical values represent true or false, which are going to be useful for decisions and filtering on later. These logical values can be returned by expressions as well. Suppose we have a comparison operation called 5 is greater than 3. Now this is true. 5 is greater than 3, so this expression will return a true value. Let's take another example. Suppose we have yet another comparison operation, and this time it is comparing the value of 2 to that of the value of 10. Which is done by using this double equals to sign inside R. This is comparing if 2 is equal to 10. Now this is obviously false, so this will return a false value. So that is about it when it comes to logical data. These will become powerful when we get into conditional statements later. So we discussed about the three types of data that we will be working with in R. Now let's discuss about a common beginner problem, or let's say a common beginner confusion, that is integer versus double. Now when talking about numerical data types earlier, we stated that numbers in R are stored as doubles by default. That means even whole numbers are stored as double by default. Now, if we want to force the number to go from being a double data type to an integer data type, we would have to add an L suffix. That is, we would have to add an L at the end of the number. So, let's say we had a number 5, which is by default stored as a double. If we wanted to convert this into an integer, we would have to add an L suffix, which is done by doing this, 5L. Now, this 5 would be an integer. Now, this might seem insignificant at the moment, but the distinction matters when precision or memory matters when we execute operations later on. So, now that we have discussed about separating doubles and integers when working with numbers inside R, let's talk about how to actually check those data types in R. So this is going to be the final topic for the video. Now in R, we can ask two different questions about our data. So this is going to be about how to check data types. First of all, the first question is what is the data? And the next question is how it is stored. First of all, we have the class function. Class answers the first question. It tells us about the high level category of the value. For example, if the data is numeric or the character or logical data. But R also stores data internally in different formats. That is where the function typeof comes in. It tells us the low level storage type inside R's memory. For example, when we write the number 5, its class is numeric, but its internal type is double because R stores numbers with the decimal precision by default. So think of it like this. Class is the label on the box. It tells us what kind of data we are working with, whereas type of tells us what's inside the box, how R actually stores that information. Most beginners only need the class function at first, but later you'll see why type of function matters when working with performance or precision. And that's it for episode 3. And as a recap of today's topics, you now understand numeric values, character strings, logical values such as true or false, the difference between integers and doubles, and how to check each data type. And in the next episode, that is episode 4, we will be looking into type conversion in R, that is converting one data type into another type. So hope you tune in for that. If you like this video or found this video helpful, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more such videos. And until the next video, bye bye and happy coding.